you doing in here, cutie?
Watching football.
Who do you want to win?
The goddamn Jets.
Have fun.
God damn it, don't look at me that way.
I'm going to say one thing. Fuck Trump.
God damn it!
God damn it.
God damn it!
Blowing up the White House.
Yeah, nigga, fuck Donald Trump.
Good evening. It happened here yesterday at Roosevelt and Kedzie, and today people are shocked.
Don't vote Trump. Don't vote Trump!
The attack was recorded and posted online. A man who police say is in his 50s is taunted and beaten outside his car. He's repeatedly punched and kicked while a man and woman yell at him about the election.
You voted Trump! You voted Trump! Oh, yeah!
There has been a dramatic rise in racial tension under President Obama and under the former Attorney General. I think a lot of their language, a lot of their approach heightened that sense of racial tension.
I want you to argue with them and get in their face.
But she is a typical white person.
Got enough goddamn energy to run them sewers? Get over there and give me 50 on the double. God damn, man, eh?
That's like you own the goddamn place.
But there was one performance this year that stunned me. It made its intended audience laugh and show their teeth. It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter.
Actress Meryl Streep broke down into tears at the Golden Globes on Sunday night during her acceptance speech because she was duped by the liberal lie, which falsely claims that Donald Trump was making fun of a handicapped reporter.
First of all, before I throw this first pitch out, I just want to say the biggest scumbag on the planet is that maggot with an F in front of it, Donald Trump.
She's talking about this gesture that Donald Trump made on the campaign trail during one of his speeches when he was calling out what one of the reporters was saying about him. It just so happened, unfortunately, that the reporter was physically disabled and has some deformed hands. So on the surface, it could appear that Donald Trump was mocking that reporter, until you realize that that's one of Donald Trump's typical tactics and nervous tics or little quirks when he's making fun of someone.
Anti-Trump protesters hunting down the very people who back Trump.
Here's a clip of him making the same gesture while mocking Ted Cruz.
You know, I heard Ted's a good debater. I said he is a good debater, but he can't talk, okay? They said, Senator Cruz, what do you think of waterboarding? I don't want to talk about it. You know, he didn't want to talk about waterboarding.
There it is, folks. The same exact gesture mocking Ted Cruz.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
When the liberal media first started spreading this lie during the presidential campaign, many sources clearly debunked it by showing the clips of Donald Trump doing the same exact gesture in other situations, mocking other individuals. But the liberal media refuses to mention that.
Pelting a woman with eggs.
Oh my God!
Now Meryl Streep, duped by this liberal lie, repeated it on national television in front of millions of mentally enslaved morons, further perpetuating this false narrative.
How dare he say the things he does? Of course I want to punch him in the face.
Right. Alleged kidnapping and torture streamed live on Facebook. A white teenager with special needs tied up and beaten as a group of young African Americans shouting anti-white slurs and calling out Donald Trump.
So this shocking story breaking in Chicago, and we want to warn you, this video is very disturbing to watch. It shows an 18-year-old victim who was tied and gagged. The suspects put a knife to his throat at different points in this video. They make him drink from the toilet. They shout expletives against white people and against the president-elect. This torture goes on for more than 30 minutes. Listen.
Donald Trump, white people, what?
Film. Goof. Muscles of it with
For the 100th time, I never mocked a disabled reporter, would never do that, but simply showed him groveling when he totally changed a 16-year-old story that he had written in order to make me look bad just more very dishonest media.
All right, Kellyanne, what's your reaction?
Well, my initial reaction is I'm glad that Meryl Streep has such a passion for the disabled, because I didn't hear her weigh in, and I didn't hear her even use her platform last night, Ainsley, to give a shout out to the mentally challenged boy who last week was tortured live on Facebook for half an hour by 4 young African American adults who were screaming racial and anti-Trump expletives and forcing him to put his head in toilet water.
Type of threesome now.
What's a threesome?
That's a game that adults play sometimes when they're bored.
Georgia is poised to pass what they call the heartbeat bill. Now, this would forbid abortions at about 6 weeks once a fetal heartbeat is detected. Well, actress Alyssa Milano, who's shooting a Netflix series in Georgia, has gotten 100 actors to sign a letter threatening to boycott the state if it passes the heartbeat law. They include Alec Baldwin, Amy Schumer, Mark Garofalo, and others.
What about your dad?
Never met him, but my mom said bad words a lot. And you can say bad words. Who gives a shit?
I shouldn't.
Why not? You should just say what you feel. You know, that's what they're there for. Why don't you try one?
I feel the opposite of bad wordy right now.
Will you just say something bad, you fucking Quaker?
Motherfucker?
Great. Perfect. That's a good one.
I am drawing the goddamn clue. You know, this week, Sarah Palin, La Cabrona,
Surrounding this man trying to get away.
What happened? I was walking on the street and this guy like sucker punched me in the back of the head.
I just want to say to her, just very quickly, fuck you.
This is the only country in the world where we don't have health care. Countries embarrass us around the world, and this is the only country in the world where we don't have a gun law. Quite frankly, it's embarrassing. Obama's not embarrassing. The country's embarrassing.
One of the traditional methods of imposing statism or socialism on a people has been by way of medicine.
Get the fuck out.
No.
Here's a fuck out.
Tomorrow, I will introduce on the floor of Congress a bill that provides basic emergency health care for all people. Especially this woman who put a nail through my heart.
The Democrats seem to get a plan to fight this slander of socialism. You're going to be living in Venezuela.
Well,
I don't see it yet.
We have to say yes to socialism, to the word and everything. We have to stop apologizing.
It's very easy to disguise a medical program as a humanitarian project.
Oh, Janie! God damn it!
I'll electrocute them all. Balance a goddamn budget.
We need.
I am not going out there right now, G-damn-it.
Tell Mommy you hope she gets laid.
Lots and lots of sex.
He had discovered, he said, primitive sexual and aggressive forces hidden deep inside the minds of all human beings.
So, what are you guys doing down here?
She just bought her father a totally ridiculous birthday present.
You think it's ridiculous. I think it's great.
It's complete with pornographic slides. That comes with it.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
It's just what he needs, antique pornography. I always thought you had a little yen for your dad.
Ha ha.
One day, I had this killer idea to make films set in real-life situations. You know, real-world porn.
First run sold out in 3 hours. Everyone's options went through the roof. Heaps in development, education, military training, huge budgets.
And porn, of course.
Excuse me?
When you rent porn, do you usually do it with family around, or is this like a, special occasion?
Do I have to answer this?
I'm a grad student. I'm writing a thesis paper.
Forces which, if not controlled, led individuals and societies to chaos and destruction.
What are you getting, Daddy?
Yeah, Daddy, what are you getting? Let's just take a little look.
By satisfying people's inner selfish desires, one made them happy and thus docile.
Mom, do you want my advice?
What?
put a lot of sex into it so that people actually want to read it, not like the last one.
What was needed was a new elite who could manage what he called the bewildered herd. This would be done through psychological techniques that would control the unconscious feelings of the masses.
It's fine. Penelope's over.
What?
Doesn't matter.
Since last night?
Yeah.
What happened?
She got needy, and she voted for Bush. 2004, actually.
Damn.
Out of this would come vast government programs to manage the inner psychological life of the masses.
The pussy grab story comment from Donald Trump, which became the Women's March filled with actresses and regular liberals, politicians, Democrats, of course, wearing knit pink pussy hats, is a brilliant teaching aid for illustrating the power of propaganda. That march gathered maybe a couple of 100,000, descended on DC to protest Donald Trump, all based on a twisting and leaving out of words. Amazing, really cool way to get this done. And it's shocking and evil how 17-year-old girls are manipulated. Anyway, Hollywood always comes out against Republicans. In that capacity, they join with who I call the communist professional liars at CBS, ABC, NBC, NPR, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, AP, USA Today, and numerous others in singing in harmony the same tune, that Republicans are bad and the Democrats care about you and Republicans are racist, which is a stunning story all by itself, because Republicans are the party that sent people to die rescuing slaves from Democrats.
It's race. It's race. This is about the Republican Party tapped the race button and said, go ahead, it's okay. And he did.
All the slaves, by the way, numbering at that time 4 million, were owned by Democrats.
This is the kind of shit the Republicans pull. Yeah.
Let's now move to the post-bellum crimes of the Democratic Party. Because after the Civil War, the Democratic Party was in disarray, and in order to come back, it developed a kind of new ideology. A new ideology that was sort of related to slavery, but separate from it. And what was this ideology? White supremacy.
You know what? This is the kind of shit that the Republicans pull.
And the Democratic Party essentially came up with some new institutions. Segregation, the Ku Klux Klan, racial terrorism, and lynching.
Because you gotta rob to get rich in the Reagan era.
The rich get richer, the poor don't get a fucking thing.
Every segregation law in the South, without exception, was passed by a Democratic legislature, signed by a Democratic governor, and implemented by Democratic officials.
And the Republican Party is right behind him, and they all should be thrown into jail as far as I'm concerned.
This same Democratic Party has never, ever taken responsibility for any of its actions. It has never said, we plead guilty. It has never made an apology.
Them damn Republicans.
So why did you even need a civil rights movement when these laws had been passed in the 1860s? And the answer is the Democratic Party had been blocking the enforcement of those constitutional amendments.
Those people who are supporting what he's doing here are racist, period.
And then Democrats started the Klan. 100 years later, Democrats were still imposing segregation in the South. And about 5 seconds after they decided it was no longer popular to be overtly racist against blacks in America, they began blaming Republicans for supposedly being racist, what they called the Southern strategy. And they'll tell you, if you ever get beyond the top layer, is that the parties switched. Republicans became racist and Democrats became caring about all mankind. It's total bullshit.
They're not going to be able to go to a restaurant. They're not going to be able to stop at a gas station. They're not going to be able to shop at a department store.
The protesters shaking cars.
The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest.
Breaking taillights.
The left refuses to come out and speak against this. The left refuses. The Democrats have not come out and said anything. And as I said, it's because they condone this behavior. This is their gang, because they have decided that racism is okay, violence and harassment is okay, so long as it's against conservatives.
That's exactly right. That's why it's okay that the leadership at the FBI and the DOJ completely abused their power. It's okay. It was against Trump.
That's correct.
They're going to absolutely harass them.
This, let me suggest, is why the campuses these days are so nervous about hearing conservative views, not because we're out to promote hate speech, but because we're out to disrupt a progressive narrative that cannot withstand the disinfectant of public scrutiny.
Certain individuals and institutions, we will, as per Chief Jim Hopper, punch some people in the face when they seek to destroy the weak and the disenfranchised and the marginalized. And we will do it all with soul, with heart, and with joy. We thank you for this responsibility. Thank you.
Democrats are racist to this day, constantly playing a sort of Southern strategy, racial pushing of a message.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
The whole racism story in America is a giant hoax. So is the pussy grab story. So let me break it down into 3 little subsections. First, the idea that anybody in Hollywood actually gives a shit about morality.
Say something, goddammit. You're on television. You're live to the whole world.
Is laughable all by itself. Number 2, Donald Trump never said he grabbed anybody by the pussy. You got that? Never said it.
I'm Elizabeth Banks. Some of you know me from the Hunger Games, in which I play Effie Trinket.
There's never been a more strident feminist. There's never been a more ardent defender of women's rights. Really? Is that why Hillary Clinton defended a rapist who molested a 12-year-old girl and then laughed about helping him get away with it? Oh, you didn't hear about that?
Hillary Clinton rocked my world.
Clinton, who said that all rape victims should be believed, set out to destroy Kathy Shelton's credibility by smearing her. Hillary claimed the victim was emotionally unstable, had fantasized about having sex with older men, and had romanticized the experience. It was such a romantic experience for Kathy Shelton that she spent 5 days in a coma and 10 years in therapy.
The first part of that is what's left out. The 3 words, always left out. Look, I'm going to show you. From the New York Times, famous liars. At the New York Times, communist liars and traitors working to get Democrats elected and to destroy the lives and reputations and careers of conservatives. But the New York Times even printed the original transcript, and here it is, right there in bold. See it? They let you. You understand what that means? They let you erases, destroys any assertion of forced grabbing of anybody. They let you. Is that amazing? Think about it. Now first, he didn't say I grabbed anybody. He could have been a third person. When you're a star, they let you grab them by the pussy, right? Could have been he's talking about somebody else. He saw what happened. Might have been talking about himself, but in the worst case scenario, it was consensual. Then, the third category comes down to what sounds to me like the original thought behind the whole idea. It's an expression of astonishment. Wow, when you're a star, they let you grab them by the pussy, which means these women are so hungry for fame, money, love, whatever it is, that they become sluts and whores. It's not I grab them. It's not that you can grab them, you as a third person. It's look what the women are like in Hollywood. You see? And they made it into a hate Donald Trump moment where you've got teenage girls across the world thinking of him as guilty of sexual assault. Whereas the same people reporting it at CBS, ABC, NBC, NPR, CNN didn't give one fart about Bill Clinton very likely having raped Juanita Broaddrick.
But, you know, Andrea Mitchell on NBC basically said that Juanita Broaddrick's case has been disproven. Now, that is not accurate. It has never been disproven, and, you know, NBC's report it still stands to this day. So the media partially is responsible. They need to actually report the truth on this and not drop off the unsavory things about Bill Clinton. And then you have the bimbo eruptions that Hillary Clinton was a part of.
And sexually assaulting several other women who risked their futures to come forward and speak out against him, only to be ignored by the communist media.
The thing that's most important to me and to us is to tell the women, especially the younger women in this country, and the older women, and everybody, that everybody in the mainstream press is calling all of Bill Clinton's crimes infidelities.
Hollywood came out over the weekend to celebrate Bill Clinton's 65th birthday with a serenade from Lady Gaga, along with several other acts, including U2 and Usher, and celebrities came out en masse for the occasion.
Rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment are not infidelities. They are crimes and they are misdemeanors.
Hollywood's always had a thing for Bill Clinton when he was president and now after. And even Ashton Kutcher, who's been a supporter of the foundation in the past, came out on Saturday.
Jessica Alba, Fergie and Josh Duhamel, and Rachel Zoe also took part in the weekend's events.
Matt Damon took part in a Funny or Die skit with Sean Penn, Kristen Wiig, Ted Danson, and Ben Stiller.
His wife is covering for him. No champion of women attacks the victims of sexual assaults and rapes.
I had a threesome with Leonard Cohen. Who didn't? True.
We must shift America, he wrote, from a needs to a desires culture.
On Twitter, actor Peter Fonda instructed the world to target the agents by surrounding their kids' schools and scaring the F out of them. Fonda also called for kidnapping Barron Trump to be put in a cage with pedophiles. That tweet got over 1,000 likes.
I don't think he felt that all those publics out there had reliable judgment, and that they very easily might vote for the wrong man or want the wrong thing, so that they had to be guided from above. It's enlightened despotism in a sense.